to talk about why millennials suck. So we have one of the last few days of, it's like October 20 something, and it's low 70s. So figured one last video outside before the winter hits, and all of these videos are done from the inside. Two months ago, I was standing in front of an audience, and I have this whole set where I roll up into where I talk about millennials. And also, ultimately, the point is it's not about millennials as a demographic, it's more about a mindset, which ultimately I call the connected generation, not necessarily millennials, because it doesn't really matter how old you are. If you use a smartphone, let me get these earbuds out, just got off a call. If you use a smartphone, you're part of the connected generation, it doesn't matter how old you are. I flip this side and it says, enter the millennials. And one of the attendees in the back yells out, "Millennials suck!" And I gotta, to be honest with you, I gotta give it to the guy. His timing was perfect. And the whole place started laughing, and I even laughed a little bit too, because he was right on it. It was like, bam, it was really good. But ultimately, he was heckling, and he was being honest, you know, in the grand scheme of things. It was his opinion that millennials, in terms of digital marketing, and in particular, the independent insurance industry and how agents market to and sell millennials, his opinion were that millennials suck. And to be honest with you, I agree with him. Millennials do suck. But let's talk about why they suck. We can say that, you know, millennials are narcissistic and they're checked out, they're very aloof, they're addicted to their phones and social media, tend to have a sense of entitlement, and they don't move out of their parents' house. And there's all these things that define millennials. Millennials are also one of the most loyal generations in history. And hold on, I gotta find out this stat. I'll be right back. So, according to a survey done by Gallup, millennials are actually the most loyal generation in history. In fact, millennials, once they choose a brand, stick 60% of the time, which is more than baby boomers, Generation X. What does that actually mean? Why do millennials suck then? Millennials suck not because they don't care about you, not because they're price sensitive or they're addicted to the internet and shopping, or that they don't care who they work with. Because in truth, according to this survey done by Gallup, millennials are loyal. So here's the deal. Millennials suck because they're discerning, because they've grown up with options. When a millennial chooses to do business with someone, they've done their homework. You can't pull one past millennials. Millennials aren't going to give you the benefit of the doubt. A millennial can do research on your agency. A millennial can do research on your insurance business. They've looked at your website. They've checked out your Facebook page. They've looked at your Google reviews. They've asked around town. They've gotten a sense for who you are, right? They might have connected with you or checked out your Instagram feed to see what kind of pictures you're posting. And here's the deal. If they don't like what they see, they don't call you. And then there's a whole nother phase to this. If they do pick up the phone, or they do reach out to you, and they do connect with you, and they do start the process, and they don't like what they see, or they don't like how they feel going through the process, or if the process of purchasing insurance through your agency doesn't meet their expectations, they just bounce. because they've grown up with the back button. They've never not had options. They've always had the internet. They've always had the ability to find someone who suits their belief system, who suits the expectations that they have for a service provider in every industry, not just insurance. So yes, millennials suck, but they suck because they're discerning, which isn't that what we want out of consumers? Wouldn't we rather have a consumer that makes us work to bring them in, but once we bring them in and they believe in who we are and what we do, that they ultimately stick? Because that's what a millennial consumer is. Now, granted, it's harder to deal with them. You actually have to put in the work. You actually have to match expectation with experience. They're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. They're not just going to do business with you because their grandfather did business with you, or their father, or their mother. They want to make sure that you are the type of professional that they want to do business with, because if you're not, they can just go find somebody else. This is why telling your story in the digital marketplace is so important. This is why building a culture of customer experience is so important. This is why giving without expectation of reciprocation is so important to your business. These cultural aspects of your business are so important, because if they align with a connected generation consumer, with a millennial mindset consumer, they're going to choose you, they're going to do business with you, and they're going to stick, because nobody wants to shop for insurance. They only do that because they're unhappy with the experience they're getting. So if your phone ain't ringing, you need to look at the customer experience that you're providing, because it just means that people don't like it. That's a you problem, not a millennial problem. So do millennials really suck? Was the guy in the back of the room right? The answer is no. I mean, well, I'm sure some of them do, but as a generation, no, they don't. The truth is we just have to work harder. Have to work harder at telling our story. Millennials are no different than anybody else. They're just young. And not even as young as I think we all kind of picture them in my mind. I always start that section on millennials by saying, I just said the word millennials and all of you are picturing a 17-year-old humped over their phone like this. That's not the case. I'm 36 going on 37, born in 81. That puts me on the leading edge of the millennials. I'm 2 cars and a home, umbrella, wife owns a business, looking to buy toys, the whole deal. The millennial generation is moving into their prime asset accumulation time of their life. This is prime time for them. This is where entry-level employees are moving up to middle managers. Managers are moving up to be executives. Executives are leaving to start their own businesses. Entrepreneurs, businesses that they started 5, 6, 7 years ago are starting to take off. They're starting to add second locations. This is where the millennial generation is in their lives. I mean, if we're not prepared for it, if we're not there to capture them, then someone else will. And that's a big reason why the insurtechs have been so successful, and it's a big reason why the directs and captives have been so successful, because they're telling their story and they're putting it out there, and the millennials that relate to that are doing business with them. And there's really no other way to put it. If you want to capture the millennial generation, understand that it might be funny to bust on the millennials, and it might be funny to yell from the back of the room, millennials suck. But realize at the end of the day, if you're the one screaming millennials suck from the back of the room, it might be time to look in the mirror. Whoa!